This is the power of real estate investing and of doing things like home exchanges and stuff like that, because especially like whenever I go to San Francisco or New York, where the nightly rate there, if I were to stay at a hotel or an Airbnb, is super high. So if I can instead offset that with staying in things like home exchanges, and there are different apps like
Hey everybody, welcome back to Invested and Rested. Today we interview Olivia Tati.
She had some really cool tricks to getting her first property under contract and buying it, and you're definitely going to want to listen to that. And she also shared with us so many systems for her short-term rentals. It almost made me, as a hands-off investor, feel like I could even handle it. So you got to listen in. She has some gold nuggets here, friends. So listen up.
Welcome back, everyone, to Invested and Rested. We are super excited to have Olivia Tati on today. Hi, Olivia. Welcome.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got started in real estate investing.
Totally, yeah. So I used to be a chemical engineer, and it's so funny because if you follow me on all the socials, you know that I am not your regular engineer. I'm very bright and colorful and bubbly. And I had actually just finished my graduate degree. Like I'd finished getting my master's in engineering and technology management and started working in the workforce. And about a year into working, I was like, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. Literally like less than a year in. And so it was funny because at the time I was also in $25,000 worth of credit card debt. And so I was just like, how do I pay off this debt and potentially move into another career path that is going to be way more fun, way more fulfilling? And that's when I decided I was going to get my real estate license and pay off my credit card debt, because I was like, people make money in real estate. I can do that, right? Yeah. And so originally the plan was just to be, a residential agent and kind of test it out, see what happens. And then I started listening to Bigger Pockets, so podcasts about real estate investing, and I was hooked. I just pretty much, my brain said, this is it. This is the way out. This is how we get out of our engineering job. And after that, I was full speed ahead, paid off my credit card debt in 8 months, was under contract in less than 10 months on my first investment property, which was a duplex at the time. And then I was just kind of off to the races.
That's amazing. So did you end up being a real estate agent for a while?
Yeah. So, I still have my license, actually. Okay. I don't sell anymore. I just do referrals. But yeah, I basically was a real estate agent on the side. So engineer by day, real estate agent by night and lunchtimes, essentially. And sold quite a bit of real estate. I think I made, when I was actively doing it, about an extra 40 to 50K, which is pretty great. Yeah.
As a side business,
really,
for sure.
Really hustled at it. But yeah, now I do not sell. I think even when I got my license, I knew it was a means to an end in terms of investing. And so I kind of had known that from the beginning, and the more deeper I went into it, it just wasn't 100% for me. And so we just went straight in the investing route. But that's the cool thing about real estate is there's so many different ways to do it. Like you can become an agent, you could invest. There are different strategies within investing. You could do, like, I started an interior design company on the side, which is still around real estate. So there's so many different ways to do it.
It's so true. I sold one house and I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Glad you figured it out right away too. That's awesome.
It's so much more of a grind, and like you are way more of a therapist than I was realizing. And I just couldn't.
Yeah, I know. I think I showed my first clients like 75 houses, and I was with them for every single one. I was like, I made my made my commission on that one.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because sometimes you get one deal and it's the easiest thing in the world, and you're basically just like, how did I make that much money so easily? And I think that was like a big aha to entrepreneurship for me, where I realized, okay, you don't have to like grind to make money. And in real estate, you can kind of see both sides to the coin, right? But I realized there are so many other easier, more fun ways to make money.
Hey, Dylan, I've always wanted to invest in real estate, but I just don't really know how to figure out if it's a good deal or not. Like, how do you figure that out?
Well, you're in luck.
Ooh, tell me more.
Because we are going to be hosting a Deal a Day challenge. First, we'll send you our calculator, our super calc. We've combined our best resources into this amazing calculator to analyze your deals.
Awesome.
And then you're going to join us live every day next week, starting Monday, September 23rd.
Okay.
And we are going to analyze deals together. So you're going to get used to analyzing deals so that you're going to create confidence and know when you have a good deal, and you'll be ready to make an offer.
Oh my gosh, this sounds so amazing. So basically, I'm going to get this calculator for free. You're going to explain how to use it. And then we're going to go through it examples. And I can even bring an example to the table.
Yeah, please. We'd love to do your example. We can analyze your deal that you've been considering.
Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Thank you so much. And how do I sign up for this?
Just go to investedandrested.com. It's totally free. Join us.
Very cool. I will see you on the 23rd.
It's true. So what are you doing now to make money in real estate?
Yeah.
Tell us all your different avenues of
Totally. So I have 6 units right now. So 4 investment properties total, but 2 of them are duplexes. Mainly short-term rentals. I do short-term and medium-term rentals. So my New Orleans duplex, it kind of varies between the two because you can only have one short-term rental there technically. So I can't short-term rent both sides out. So I have a medium-term rental on the other side. Then all my other ones are short-term rentals / also a unit that I personally live in. So that's one stream of income. I also have an interior design business, and that I would say is like side hustle fun money, where it's like anything extra is really fun. Right now, I don't have any plans on scaling it giant or anything like that. Basically take on 2 to 3 projects a quarter. What I'd say makes my most active income right now is my coaching program, which I abso-freaking-lutely love so much. Like everything about it, it's just so freaking fun. So I have that income coming in. And then I do like social media stuff. So I'll do sponsorships or partnerships and have affiliate links and all of that. And that, once again, I would say is more like side hustle money. There's probably other stuff and I just don't even know it.
But all of those add up to an income.
Exactly.
That's so
And gave
cool.
you the
Well, tell us-
opportunity to leave your engineering job.
Yes. And I left with just that first duplex. So essentially that duplex was covering all of my living expenses, like mortgage fully covered. It covered my food. It covered my car payment. So essentially, and this is where everyone has different risk tolerances. I think I was so depressed in my corporate job where for me, it was a greater risk for me to stay than it was to jump and leave and go do my own thing. And I had the safety net of that first property that was covering all my living expenses. So to me, it was just like, worst case scenario, I literally sit in this house for the next year and figure it out and eat ramen and I'll be okay. You know?
Yeah. Totally. That's so cool. Well, so I've heard, I forget, maybe on one of your podcasts, but can you tell me how you bought that first duplex? Because I know you had some sort of cool like financing tricks.
Yeah. So the funny thing too is, so this was in 2021. If you guys remember, the 2021 market was absolutely insane. I was getting beat out left and right by cash offers, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over asking price. And remember, at the time, I just finished paying off my credit card debt. I just saved up I think I had like $25,000 in the bank and then another $50K in my 401k. And that was it. But like literally I had no other money other than that. So for that first property, I went the FHA route. So it was a duplex, 3.5% down. It was $399,000 in new construction. And so the funny thing is there was actually a different new construction that was on the market. I put an offer in, got beat out. I reached out directly to the builder and was like, hey, I'm coming in here with, FHA loan. I cannot compete. Do you have any other projects on the market right now or like that are about to be on the market here within the next couple of months that I could get under contract on before it hits the market? Because I know I'm not going to be able to compete. It was like, actually, yeah, we have 2 different properties. Feel free to go check. I'm like, amazing. Literally went the next day. The properties are not fully done. It's like, wood sticks, no flooring, no anything. I went to go see both, preferred the location of the other one, and just said, sold, here's the contract. Let's get this done. And so it finished up 2 months after that. But yeah, I had it under contract for the asking price. But then the cool thing is, so I did go FHA, but because I had my real estate license, I was also able to roll my commissions into like closing costs and down payment. So that was about $8,000. The seller also gave me $2,000 worth of seller concession and was paying for my title fees and all of that. And I think I was supposed to come to the table with exactly $25,000. So remember, I only had $25,000 in the bank, which I didn't actually want to use. So what I ended up doing was a 401k loan for the other, how much was that? Like $15,000-ish. I did a 401k loan for that. And I actually did a 401k loan for exactly $25,000 because I needed some extra cash to furnish the property. Right?
Oh, right.
And the cool thing is with a 401k loan, depending on your service provider, you can actually get a 30-year fixed loan. So I still have that loan. It is 30-year fixed for $25,000. It's like $110 a month.
I'm like, it took me a second to like get all that. So you have a 30-year loan on your 401k. I have never heard of this before.
And you can get it for your primary residence. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the interest rate?
The interest rate on that was 3%. Yeah.
So it was at market, basically.
It was like 0.25 above market because my interest rate on the property was 2.75 and then my 401k loan was 3%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I came to the table with like no I still had my $25,000 in the bank, which was great.
Yeah.
And is this going to be a variable loan or is this going to stay fixed for the 30 years?
Fixed for the 30 years.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this now, because now I'm like personally curious about this, right? I actually don't have a 401k anymore, but for other people. So,
well, okay. Do you have an old 401k and like you have rolled it?
No,
over?
I've rolled everything into a Roth IRA now that I manage. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that I know I took money from mine too when I bought my first house, but I think I just like took it out. I didn't do any fancy like loan structures or anything. But okay, so what's the name of this, or is this a program that is kind of in and out, or how did you?
No, it's just a 401k loan. It's just a primary residence 401k loan. And so I actually rolled the rest of, so when I quit my job, right? Most people think that, okay, now I have to pay back my 401k loan. You don't. You literally, I think I kept $1,000 in that account, rolled the rest over into now a solo 401k and did the same thing. Cool. Yeah. And the reason why I went the solo 401k route is because I don't have to pay any like 10% penalty. There are no penalties that you have to pay on it. You don't have to pay taxes on it, anything like that. So it's just and the best part is you're paying interest back to yourself into your 401k, which is absurd. So it's not, it's literally like, there's no downside to it.
Oh my God. The interest is going back into your own pocket.
Yes.
Just to pull out at a later date.
Exactly.
Incredible.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And so there are 2 limits to it. So you can either take out up to 50% of your 401k or up to $50,000. So whichever comes first. So you can't take out any more than that. So that's the only like barrier that you have to know.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
if it's not a primary residence, then you're like, you can't do a 30-year. It's going to be 5 years. So just something to know there. But that's why the primary residence one, if you're like house hacking or if you want to buy a property just for yourself and then live in it for a year and move out, it's such a smart way.
Yeah, that's so cool. So tell us now about your most recent buy in Denver.
Yes. So this one is a wild one. It's so funny because originally it was not in my buy box at all. In terms of just price and everything. And if you don't know, like Denver pricing has pretty much skyrocketed over the last couple of years because I think it has in a lot of places, like in Austin and California and all of that. But yeah, so prices here have skyrocketed. And the thing about Denver too is Denver County itself has pretty strict short-term rental regulations. So you can only short-term rent out your property if it is your primary residence, and which is great for me because that's exactly what I was looking for. However, if you have a duplex here, it's considered 2 separate residences. So you can't actually like live in one and short-term rent out the other. You'd have to do a long-term rental. However, if you have a single family home, then you can. So the key is to find single family homes either with an ADU or with a basement unit or something that you can convert into a unit that's still considered and zoned as a single family home. And that's where, and that's where knowing the regulations is so critical. But here's the thing too, and this is why I like the strategy here in Denver is even when I move out, like, because who knows how long I'm actually going to want to be house hacking here for, if I want to move, whatever, all you have to do is get a tenant, a longer term tenant in one of the units, and have them actually get the short-term rental license. So my plan is for whenever I move out, I'm going to put a tenant in, basically give them a steep discount on their rent if they get the short-term rental license. That way I can still keep operating the other unit as a short-term rental. But yeah, this place is huge. It's a 7-bedroom house. So one unit is 5 bedrooms and then the other is 2 bedrooms. I'm currently living in the 5-bedroom because I'm setting it up and I have tenants in the 2-bedroom, but I'm actually going to be moving into the 2-bedroom and then short-term renting out the main unit.
Cool.
Yeah.
So are you still going to be managing the short-term rental when you move out, or will the tenants have to manage it because they're the ones
I will still be managing. Like everything will still go through my systems and everything. Yeah.
It's just that they hold the license.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay.
What interesting regulations.
I know. I mean, that's where it's so funny because there are other parts of Denver where those regulations actually don't go into effect. For example, if you go to Wheat Ridge, which is about 5 to 10 minutes away from me, then you can short-term rent out another unit and they have just certain licenses and certain numbers of licenses. But in Denver County proper, and I personally just wanted to be closer to town because I'm young, I'm single, I like being close to town, right?
Yeah.
Airport's over that way too.
Exactly. Airport is closer. I've got close proximity to the highway. I like all the vibes. So yeah. So just something, and this is where I say it's so important to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who are either like doing the thing that you want to do or who just like are super knowledgeable in the market. For example, my realtor here in Denver, they specialize in house hacking and they specialize in short-term rentals. Like that is literally what their brokerage does, is all short-term rentals and house hacking. So for me, that was perfect because that's exactly what I was looking for. So I always say, try and find someone who is an expert in the exact strategy that you want to do in your market.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because sifting through all the laws all the time, like, and they change so often, it's just exhausting.
Yeah.
Find someone you trust and go with it.
Exactly.
Cool. So you're going to be renting out a 5-bedroom house. What kind of nightly rate is that looking like?
Yeah, so it's anywhere from $700 to $1,500 a night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
great.
Yes.
What's the peak season in Denver?
Summer. So you'd think it's winter because of skiing, but like in the mountains, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Peak season in the mountains, less so in Denver. I would say from May to about September, that's really going to be your peak season for Denver. But the winter does not do bad, especially if you do have things like a hot tub. And thankfully with the location that I picked, it's so close to town where I still expect it to be pretty occupied throughout the winter as well.
And what kind of amenities are you going to have?
Yeah, so this place is going to be super fun. I actually, right now I'm looking out and they're finishing up the concrete pad for the hot tub.
Nice.
But yeah, so we're going to have a really gorgeous cedar hot tub. I'm so excited. We're converting the garage into a movie room, actually. So it's going to be a movie room with a little gym area in the back. There's a rooftop deck as well, and there's a game room that's like off of the rooftop deck. So that's going to be really fun. I even had one of my local friends here paint a mural too. So those are going to be the main amenities. It's going to be housing up to 17 people because we have so many beds, but we're doing it aesthetic.
Are you thinking it'll be like bachelorette parties or just like friends?
It's going to be a lot of bachelorette parties, and the bachelorette scene in Denver in general is growing. Also, retreats have been growing a lot here in Denver, especially as the entrepreneurial community is really is starting to flourish around here. So I expect a lot of retreats as well. Some families too. So we have all the family amenities as well, like high chairs and cribs and all of that stuff just in case. And more family gatherings. Those are the general, but the way that I'm designing this is more so for the content creator bachelorette-ish scene.
Yeah. Get those Instagrammable
exactly.
moments.
And it's the kind of place I would want to book,
Yeah, totally. And then it'll attract especially because you're living there, it'll hopefully attract the kind of people you want to be nearby.
Exactly.
Something that I know you've also done is house hacked while you travel.
Yes.
So you were living in New Orleans, and I know you traveled to, everywhere.
Yeah.
Like Portugal and a bunch of places, Italy. So tell us about how you kind of make that happen, how you prepare for it. Like, I even talk about that with my husband. Like, should we next summer go away for a month and rent out our home? And he's like, no.
Oh my gosh, you absolutely should. Literally, one of my friends here in Denver, she just had a baby. So she literally has a toddler and now a newborn. She texted me at the beginning of the year and was just like, do you think someone would rent out our place for 2 months? And so what they're actually doing while she's on maternity leave, she leaves next month, they are renting their house to a midterm renter, covers all of their expenses, and then they're going to Thailand for 2 months. And there they have a villa with a pool, and they got a nanny because it's affordable.
Yeah.
So you absolutely should. But yeah, so multiple different ways. So one way that I do it is I'll rent it out as an Airbnb, or I'll rent it out as a midterm rental. So, and that just really depends on the time of year and like the kind of renter that I want. Like sometimes when I was gone for a couple of months at a time, I was just like, it's easier to just put a midterm renter in there. And I just kind of didn't want to deal with it. However, a lot of the times you are obviously going to make more money on a short-term rental. And especially in most areas, if it is your primary residence, you are allowed to do that. Just regulations will state that you are allowed to do that. But once again, double check with your regulations. The other way that I like to do it, especially in the slow season in my market. So for example, in New Orleans, the slow season is the summer. So, end of May, June-ish to about September time, I would get the same amount. I would break even on that specific unit as a midterm rental or a short-term rental. So I was like, okay, I could make, and all of that money was extra cash flow because the other unit's already covering all the living expenses and cash flowing. So I was just like, I could rent this out normally, or I could do home exchanges and stay somewhere else for free, basically. So for example, I'm heading to London end of next month. I'm staying literally next to Hyde Park for 10 days for $200 in a really like super cute, adorable apartment. And I'm like, this is the power of real estate investing and of doing things like home exchanges and stuff like that. Because especially like whenever I go to San Francisco or New York, where the nightly rate there, if I were to stay at a hotel or an Airbnb, is super high. So if I can instead offset that with staying in things like home exchanges, and there are different apps, like I really like Kindred is a really good one. Homeexchange.com is also a good one. I personally I feel like I'm a bigger fan of Kindred because they have nicer properties. I'm like, this place is way nicer than my house. Like I literally stayed in another $1 million house in Denver. So when I was looking for this place that I purchased, I stayed in home exchanges for 2 months in Denver because I had all of these credits for literally, I spent $450 a month basically living in Denver in beautiful, like houses way nicer than my place in New Orleans kind of thing. And I know you asked about how do I get the place ready. So I will say there are a few steps, and sometimes you're doing it and you're like, do I want to do this? But then you go and you stay somewhere. You're like, okay, this was totally But I try and not have too many personal items like up on the walls and stuff. Like I actually have left 2 pictures where it's like me and my dog, but I'll try and take some of those down. And it honestly just got to a point where I just wouldn't put a lot of those up. I have all of my other pictures up because I do a lot of like landscape photography and stuff like that. So it still felt super personable and super cute and everything. I just would take some of those little things out. You want to ideally empty out either a section of your closet or empty out a couple of drawers for people for when they stay. You don't have to move everything though. So I would like literally lock up my closet and shove everything that I cared about in my closet. And people are like, oh, well, what kind of lock do I need? Guys, I purchased a like big silver metal chain off of Amazon with a padlock and just lock that thing up. It doesn't have to be fancy, right?
And nobody is going to try to like go into your closet. Like you're like, oh, it's personal items. Oh, it's cleaning supplies, whatever. ever, you know?
Exactly. Well, and that's like, I've stayed at other people's places where they didn't lock anything up. Like, they're just like, here, use the place. Here's a couple hangers, you know? But I personally, I think it's like, I just had so many clothes that it was easy for me to just lock everything up, away, it's done. And I have really expensive knives. So I just bought a rental set of knives and then I put my expensive knives in the closet kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that you're an ex-Cutco girl too.
I am. I love my Cutco knives. I literally, and it's so funny because when I moved to Denver, I kind of decided that on a whim. I basically woke up, I was in New Orleans back for a couple of weeks from my travels because I'd been nomading for about 2 years before then and was just like, why do I keep coming back here? This isn't home. It doesn't feel like home. I want to move to Denver. And so like a couple of weeks after that, I shoved things in my car and started driving. And I had to bring my Cutco knives with me.
Absolutely. You cannot live without those. Even in college and beyond, when I had roommates, they're like, and if we were parting ways, they're like, what are we going to do with your knives? I'm not going to have your Cutco knives anymore.
It's like, you can buy some.
Yeah.
I'll come out of retirement.
Yep, literally. Well, and it's the whole forever guarantee, right? So I'm like, some of my knives, they're starting to get dull. Let's go and get them sharpened.
Yes. Yes. I just stopped in a store like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
They have stores?
Yeah, they're separate from like the reps, but they do have some, not a ton, but there is one like near my house. They're funny. It's like pretty, I don't know. They just got what they need. They got the Cutco knives. That's all you need.
Nothing else.
I'll never buy the knives again.
Yeah.
So now you're more into the home exchanges than renting out your place. Are you doing that for just one side of the New Orleans?
I do
and
both.
Just in the summer?
Yeah, I do both. So like right now I actually have both sides fully rented. Like one side I have a longer term tenant, but at a medium term rental rate. Haha.
Because it's furnished.
Yes, because it's furnished. Because I didn't want to worry about moving all my stuff. I was just like, I'm moving, new Olivia, we're starting a new era, we need new furniture. So I left everything there, and I honestly prefer having furniture already there because I don't have to worry about people moving stuff in and out of the property, moving furniture, scuffing walls, putting things up, all of that. It's just, this is what it is, take it or leave it.
Yeah. Rent it furnished or don't rent it at all.
Exactly.
And some people are excited if they only have like a year stint somewhere and they're like, I don't want to bring all my stuff with me or buy all new stuff. Like if I found a cute furnished place when I moved abroad, I would have taken it, but there wasn't.
It works out well. My mom, she just moved into an previous functioning Airbnb. And then when she goes to Florida in the winters, she's going to Airbnb it. But it's nice because, we just had to move a couple carloads of stuff, got a storage unit for other things that she might want later. She packed up her Cutco knives, but her table, it's in the perfect spot. Everything fits great. You don't have to worry about buying new stuff or do my things fit. It's been an awesome transition for her.
Yes. And it's cool because I run even my own personal place that I do home exchanges or rent it out. I run it the same way that I do my other short-term rentals. I literally just plug and play the same systems that I already have for all of my other properties. And it's so funny because even when I'm doing home exchange, people are like, is this a rental? I'm like, it's actually my primary residence, but I also rent it out. I have other rentals and I just plug it into my system. That's why you're getting all the automated messaging. And it's great because people don't ask me a ton of questions because I already have those systems in place like I do for the short-term rentals.
Yeah. What are those systems?
Yeah. So guest messaging is going to be your biggest one. So Hospitable is the property management software that I use. You can link your Airbnb listings. You can create direct bookings as well. You can link your Airbnb VRBO, and you can just see all of your listings all in one. So if I want to see the calendar and make sure that, this property is good or there's any extra spaces in that one, I can just see it all in the one platform. But guest messaging is huge because for every guest, you have a set number of messages that you're going to be sending to every single one of them, right? There's the check-in message, there's the check-out message, there's a pre-message, a review request message. So all of my guests get those messages through the property management software. And because I front load a lot of that information and provide them with a guidebook up front, I just don't get that many questions about the property because it's literally all there. So most of the time I never hear from my guests. Maybe they'll be like, oh my gosh, it was so nice. Or that's about it.
That's so nice. Is that it? The hospital?
No. So another thing. So I like the Schlage Encode Wi-Fi lock. It's really great. So you can connect it to Hospitable and it will automatically create a new code for each person, like throughout their stay. So like, let's say someone's coming from Tuesday to Thursday, it will literally create a specific code and you can set it to be the last 4 digits of their phone number so that they can remember it super easily from Tuesday to Thursday, and then it will automatically delete it. So that's really, really helpful. And it syncs with Hospitable. You can sync it with your like guest messaging as well. So it will automatically populate in there as well. Cleaners, having a good cleaner and handyman at any of your properties is so freaking key. I use Turno. So I remember I was traveling in Italy and I was having to Venmo my cleaner at random hours of the day because I would forget, right? And just be like, oh no, I have to pay them like every couple of days. And I would get so frustrated by that. And especially once you start to have 3, 4, 5, 6 properties, it just becomes a lot. And so I use Turno, which is so awesome because it will automatically sync with Hospitable, sync all of your calendars, and it will automatically pay them out. So they can see the calendar. You're not having to screenshot your Airbnb calendar and send it to them. They can see everything right away. And they get paid right away as well, like within the next couple of days. And then I also like that you can put inventories in there and checklists and things like that. So they have to go through those checklists whenever they're doing their cleaning as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well-oiled machine over there.
It is. It's fabulous.
That's awesome.
Well, and that's what I tell people. Everyone's always like, Airbnbs are so much work. Anything can be a lot of work unless you have the right processes and systems in place, right? Like, and if you have those systems in place, you just won't have to think about it as much. Like, for example, I am currently, now that I'm at 6 units, basically, I am hiring a VA to handle all guest messaging just because I've recently turned my phone permanently on Do Not Disturb, which is not great if, guests randomly, like, let's say something breaks or whatever. It's nice to have someone who's actually always on call. And before, I used to pride myself in responding to messages so fast. But now that I have it on Do Not Disturb, I'm like, kind of starting to miss these messages. So I have a VA who's already doing the night shift, essentially. But this week, I'm hiring another VA who's going to be doing all the day shift.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And where do you find those VAs?
Onlinejobs.ph is my favorite. Super affordable. Depending on the task for the VA, you can pay them anywhere from like $3 to $5 an hour, which is huge. I hired my first VA earlier this year. It was the biggest. And then this was before guest messaging. She does everything for me. She clears my emails, my calendars. She puts links in places that I need. She schedules things. She proofreads. She does everything.
That's amazing.
And I remember when I hired her within the first week, my brain was clear. I was just like, I have so much time to think now. I've got all of this extra energy. This is amazing.
That's so cool. And do you hire her like you said she's on night shift. Do you hire her for 8 hours during the night and you pay that whole chunk, or is it just
so I actually have her part-time. So she works for me 5 hours a day. I told her I do not care when she works, unless it's for the guest messaging. Basically, she just has to be, and I just pay her an extra hour because with the guest messaging, you honestly don't get, you're not getting a ton of messages all the time. I only have 6 units. It's not that much. Once you get to 10, 20, 30, then you kind of need someone full-time all day, every day. But because they're really not responding to that many messages, just things here and there, and she doesn't really even also see the need for me to pay her a full-time salary for that. She just has to be on to respond between, I forget exactly what time it is. I think it's between 7 and 7.
Oh, gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay. But she's probably working on other stuff in between.
Exactly. So I do everything in Monday. So her weekly, daily, monthly tasks are all in Monday. She knows what she's supposed to do. And SOPs in there, all of that.
I love this. This sounds like self-care for a short-term rental investor.
Honestly. And it's so funny because I think back to last year when I didn't have her, and I'm just like, how did I get anything done? And I remember I was going crazy, but you kind of just keep going and you're just like, it's not that bad. I can do it. But then you finally hire someone and yeah, it's a game changer.
Yeah. I remember when we met last May, you were like, I have to get a virtual assistant.
Yes.
And I was like, yes.
Well, and the first time round, I actually hired someone in the US. And that didn't work for me. I think I also didn't know 100% what I was doing. And I don't know. I really like so online jobs, they're all in the Philippines. And they're just amazing. Honestly, they're the most like wonderful, hardworking, thankful human beings. And I'm always happy I'm just like, here, you get a raise and here's an extra hour just because she's so hardworking and so thankful and so grateful that I want to give her more work. And I think it's definitely not impossible to find in the US, but I think especially for the lower paying jobs and tasks, it is a little bit harder to find that quality of work. So just something to think about there.
Yeah, no, that's great. Do you have any other self-care tips as a real estate investor, since it is kind of a 24/7 job?
Yeah, so I mean, I basically take Thursdays fully off. Thursdays are my hiking days, so I hike every single Thursday, except for this Thursday because I have to go to the DMV, which is sad. But it's okay. I'm hiking on Sunday.
Okay.
But yeah, I pretty much take Thursdays almost fully off. Like basically, I have my phone on me, but I'm not. If I don't want to work at all during the day, I don't. I will go get a massage and I'll go do whatever and do my own thing. And I like having that midweek break. I work on weekends because I like it. I honestly just enjoy what I do. But honestly, the real estate investing side of things doesn't take that much time. Like now that things are up and running most of the time, like the property that I'm designing and putting together, this one's taking time because I have to get furniture set up. And if I really wanted to, I would hire that out. And to be fair, I've been hiring out way more than I used to. I literally just had people put up a larger light fixture for me. And me a year ago would have tried to do all of this myself. And I did do all of this myself, like doing electrical and painting and stuff like that. And now I'm just like, nope. I don't feel like I'm going to do the things I want to do, but anything else, I am hiring that out.
Design your life.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's fun to have that hustle at first. And I enjoyed doing it myself at the beginning, but I think it gets to a point where you just have to figure out what you like doing and what you don't like doing. For example, I still love designing properties. I don't know when I'll start to outsource that. I don't know if I'll ever outsource that, because it's something that I genuinely enjoy doing. Do I like changing light fixtures? Not particularly.
Do not blame you for that.
Hire out what you can and do what you want to do.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's something you said earlier too about, this basically you just do the setup, you have your systems in place, and then everything just kind of keeps running on your own, in comparison to when you're a realtor and you're like, I don't know if we're going to go see one house or if we're going to go see 75 houses before we can get something under contract and get to closing, etc.
And once you close, what my dad always said was like, you do a good job and you lose your client.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, yes, they can refer, but
it's kind of similar with the coaching. Like I love the coaching program, but it is also one of those like up and down cycles in terms of a business. And that's where I'm right now really figuring out the system and process to make it more consistent. And I think I just love consistency. Like I love having that consistent income coming in. So it's like figuring out what makes you happy for you. But the thing I love about real estate is it does always run. So I remember like I took 3 months off and went to Portugal last year, or barely worked, barely did anything, was on a totally different time zone. The properties still did their thing, and they always keep pumping out money. And yes, there are things here and there that you have to do, but in comparison to a regular job, you're working like 5% of the amount.
and stuck from 9 to 5 or what, whatever it is. It's like, oh, maybe I have to do a message at 10:30, or you hire it out.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I can handle this message at 10:30 p.m. because this literally took me 5 minutes. It's okay.
Yes. Exactly. One, it's like I'm heading to London next week, and then the end of next month, I'm heading to Argentina for 3 weeks, and I'm just completely taking off, not doing any work. I'm not doing anything with the design stuff, coaching program. I've got VAs in place for the properties, literally not doing anything. And all the other businesses, I kind of have to stop them, right? Or at least ramp those down, but not the real estate. The real estate keeps going at the same pace,
That's so nice. Do you have any advice for yourself if you had to start over again?
I would say find mentors faster. I think at the beginning, I was so determined to get it done myself, right? Like I was like, I got this. I can figure this out, And I remember when I joined my first coaching program, I was like, whoa, I just learned so much in so little time, and I can get to where I need to go way faster. This is awesome. So I think if I had to go, although I don't know, because I really don't live with any regrets. I feel like at the same time, I moved so fast and was able to accomplish so much. But if I had to go back and do it probably more efficiently, I would have let myself get into less distress in my job in terms of hating it, and just found mentors earlier and just dove right in faster.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense. All right, Olivia, thank you so much. You've shared so many awesome nuggets. I'm like, maybe I can handle it because I'm more of a hands-off investor, but I'm like, if you get some systems in place, you're
and especially if you hire a VA too on top of that, you could be very hands-off, and you can have them coordinate with your cleaners. You can have them coordinate with your handyman. So you don't even set up a Google Voice phone number for them. So you don't have to do anything.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Well, can you share with everybody how they should find you if they want to follow along your journey and learn more from you?
Absolutely. So I am definitely the most active on Instagram. My handle is at THE Olivia Tati. I also have a YouTube channel, which is basically just where I repurpose my podcast. But my podcast is The Wonderless Wealth Show, and my YouTube channel, if you also just go at the Olivia Tati or Olivia Tati, The Wonderless Wealth Show. What is my thing on YouTube? Something like that. If you put Olivia Tati real estate, you'll find me.
Yeah, great. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. Everybody's going to get a lot of good nuggets from this. So I'm so glad you were able to join us today.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Olivia.
Bye.
Thanks, friends. That's the episode for today. We so appreciate you being here with us, and we'd love if you could leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts.
And don't forget to subscribe for future episodes, and check the show notes to sign up for the waitlist for our retreats and future coaching programs. Stay rested, friends, and talk soon.